Hi, this is Caleb Owens with the Insurance Experience. Today I'm with Joey Meyers. Hi, Joey. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. How about you, Caleb?
Doing really good. I'm excited to talk to you. We've been talking now for quite a while, it feels like, and I finally get you on my podcast. I'm really excited about your product and about your whole history and everything. So, can you tell me about your history, where you started out?
I actually went to work when out of high school. I went to work in the oil field. I found out I could make more money. I dug ditches for about 6 months, and then I found out I could make more money in the oil field. So I went to work in 1977, and I made $6.32 an hour on the drilling rig,
Wow,
which they make a lot more than that now. Let's put it
that
that
was
way.
pretty good money back in the day, wasn't it?
It was, and I wasn't very old, and so I come up through the ranks. I started drilling whenever I think I was 19.
Wow.
Started drilling, and I come up the ranks, and then the oil field went down and up, and you know how that goes. It wasn't. It's like a roller coaster when you go
Yeah.
in. But anyway, that's partly the oil field experience. And then they called me from Woodward. I was laid off one day and one time, and they called me from the Votech at Woodward, and they said, "Do you want to teach people how to work on drilling rigs?" I
Wow.
said, "Sure." So I went up there and I said, "I need to see what I'm going to teach, right?" And the guy looked at me. He said, "We don't have that yet. You're going to have to write it." I don't.
So you wrote your curriculum.
I developed the curriculum, yes, sir,
Wow.
for that. It was. He walked me through it, and I had a lot of help with it. And then after that, I actually taught in there, and I would taught. It's called a rig pass. All it is basic safety course for drilling rig people, the people that work on rigs. And then they had a simulator out there that you take them out there and you teach them how to throw tongs and teach them how to pull slips in the correct way, the body position and stuff like that. 99% of it's muscle memory. You'd take them out there for 3 or 4 hours, and it was a week-long course, and you'd put them through it, and then all of a sudden they can go to work on a drilling rig, which
Wow.
it helped a lot. It did. Still, yeah, it had a lot of holes in it and stuff, and we fixed that down the ways. And then the oil field grant it ran out, of course, and I had a chance to go to work for a company called Trinidad Drilling, and then I was a safety coordinator for them. And then I got to be what they called a learning specialist because they found out that I could actually develop curriculum. And so they told me, they said, "You're going to have to develop this." And so I developed a curriculum, and it's a skills program, is what it was. And you do it for each position on a drilling rig. And I was very well apt to do that. I was the subject matter expert, I guess you'd call me,
Wow.
and developed that. And then the drilling industry went down again. And so I went to work for a pipeline company in New Mexico, and I worked out there for 3 years. And I was the training coordinator, and I actually taught a lot of procedures because that's all they do is procedures. But anyway,
Sure.
and then I had this idea when I worked for Trinidad about this because I got to teach in school, and you would teach them about fall protection, and you teach them that OSHA requires you to wear it. And
Yeah.
then what got me to thinking, you put people in belts and you tell them it's okay, you can wear this belt, and if you fall off, it's going to catch you. But nobody ever thought that they were going to hang there. So
You never think about after.
no, in 2013, I think it's 2015 or 2013, OSHA come out with some guidance about suspension trauma. And so I read it, and all it said was rescue them as soon as you can.
That was it. That was OSHA's
That's
guidelines.
their guidance.
It was really vague, to say the
So
least. As soon as you can. Okay.
that's one reason it was, and partly there's some other stories I could tell you about it, but that's the main reason. I've seen people that have gotten hurt in different things in the oil field, and it made an impression on me. And I decided that this might be one little thing I could do to help that. And
So, how did you get
basically,
started in safety? I'm sorry to cut you off there, but
Yeah.
It seems like you, from the very beginning, you were like a safety guy. How did
No,
that happen? What did you do something that saved somebody's life, or what
no, I
happened?
went to, like I said, I answered that ad in school and for Woodward High Plains Votech out of Woodward, and they wanted me to teach that class. And like I said, 99.9% of it was safety. And
Oh, okay.
basically that's all it was. And I knew that, and then they hired me out of that basically to teach the class I developed
Wow.
and to be a safety guy, a safety coordinator. And so that's really how I got started. I actually grew up on a farm, so I didn't know too much about safety. So that
Exactly.
wasn't done very well back then. Let's put that one.
You're mentioning those safety harnesses, those fall protection harnesses. I've worn those. I have not fallen in one of those, thankfully. I have worn those, not very long, I would admit, but those are the most uncomfortable things you could possibly imagine. It's
They are.
just, it is an awkward, uncomfortable thing. I could only just nightmare about falling in that damn thing because it would be, it grabs you in the crotch and it just pulls
Right.
you up. It is
Well,
not a comfortable thing.
you need to make sure that you put the belt on. A lot of people don't know how to put that on.
I'd probably been one of them that put it on wrong. Sure.
You got to get your leg straps tight enough and the straps tight enough where you could put your hand in there. And if you can't make a fist, then it's fine. And that's basically that's what you do. But if you wear it too loose, it's not a good deal. And even if you have it on there the correct way, suspension trauma is orthostatic intolerance is the medical name of it. And what your legs are immobile all the time. And if you hang there for long periods of time, even 35 minutes, you've got big time problems because all your blood runs to your feet.
Yeah, they
You have little
would.
pumps. You have little pumps in your legs. People don't understand that, but and that's what it does. It pumps your blood back up to your heart. That's how that works. I'm not a doctor, but that's what the way it was explained to me is an orthostatic intolerance it is a thing. Let's put it that way. It's a something that actually can kill you. And worse than that, they can actually take your legs off because you lose circulation in your legs. So
Wow.
basically, that's why this Bay Block, I thought of the idea about 11 years ago. And to be honest with you, I just put it in, you'll learn that about me and everybody will. And I'm not afraid to tell anybody I'm a Christian. And I just put it in the Lord's hands. And I said, take care of that because I didn't have any way to do that. And
Sure.
so that's what I did. And, but it's a good product. I don't, like I said, me and you talked about it before. I don't want to sound like an advertisement, but that's how I got started. Right now, I'm retired. I'm 66, and this is what I do mainly. That and drive a truck part time because I want to go do it.
So I want to understand more about this because I've worn those safety harnesses, and like you're saying, I
Yep.
probably wore it wrong, and those are extremely uncomfortable. And a lot of people, a lot of different professions, are required, like you're saying, by OSHA, to wear these safety harnesses.
Yep.
And I think you're absolutely correct. Is that they drill it into your head, the safety inspectors or safety whoever they are. There's a lot of different industries that have safety professionals.
Yep.
That you need to wear this thing. Okay, that you need to wear this harness, and it'll save your life. And so you're wearing this thing that's uncomfortable, and you're actually in the position where you do fall. I'm used to working in an environment where you have a lot of people around, maybe
Yep.
10 or 20 people around you. In those type of situations, if you fall, you're going to be rescued within seconds to minutes.
Yep.
Somebody's going to get you down and take care of you. But there's a lot of industries where you're all alone and you're working. You could think of the wind energy, you could think of oil and gas industries, and obviously a lot to do with insurance industries where you're working on something and you're working alone. No one's around you at all, sometimes for miles.
Yep.
You fall and then you just hang there. You try to call, but obviously you can't access your phone. You fell, and so everything dropped with you. And so you're just hanging there, waiting on somebody to come rescue you. What you're telling me, I never heard this before. I know this sounds stunning, but is within a matter of 30 minutes or so, you can start suffering what type of damage? What are you saying? Like you're going to lose a limb, like your leg?
You actually could lose a limb, and
Huh.
so you'll know it slows down. Your heart will go to pumping so fast you could have a heart attack
Oh my gosh.
because it actually has to work that much harder, and your body tries to do that to keep circulation in your brain. Actually, is what it's for. And I've read a lot about it, and that's all they put out there. It says we need to do a rescue. But you were talking about the wind industry, and I know on drilling rigs too. You've got a great big tower out there. If you fall out of a great big tower, you may have 5 or 6 people that's trying to help you get down, but you got to do a high angle rescue.
Yeah.
And how long that takes?
No idea, to be honest.
Yeah, probably an hour to
Wow.
get somebody down and to do it the correct way.
Wow.
You just don't go up there, and you have to do a lot of things. And that's what people need to understand in the industry too. They need to have a high angle rescue plan in place. That's actually a OSHA regulation. And
Wow.
there's another regulation. They've got to train people
On how to do this.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of guys, they say, we don't ever work alone. Yeah, you don't, but you still got to get that guy down in the correct way. You just don't take a pocket knife, go up there and cut it. There are certain ways and there's certain procedures you have to go through to do that. Anyway.
So with what your product does, because there are people that in a lot of different industries that do have one person working on whatever it is, you can't always send a team out to take care of some small part. Like you're thinking a lot of different industries where they'll just send one person out. He goes out in his truck to whatever it is. Let's say it's a windmill, let's say it's a radio tower, just hundreds of different things in a lot of different industries. He mounts his harness and he starts climbing the tower. If something happens when he's up there working and he falls.
Yep.
He has no access to a phone because he literally fell. And so everything is on the ground or dropped or destroyed.
Well,
So
even if he
sits there
has
and
it
hangs.
even if he has it in his front pocket, he's not going to be able to access it because he has a belt on.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying? It could be on his person.
Okay.
But who's to say, too, if you go out there and fall, you don't hit your head and you're knocked out for 30 minutes.
Oh, I didn't even think about that as well. That happened, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, it happens all the time. And you're not going to be able to call, especially if you're knocked out and you're going to wake up and call somebody, especially if you're hurt. There's a lot of injuries that happen. People said that you're okay, a belt caught you, you may have a broken limb too. You could hit your head and have a concussion. And there's a lot of things that it will do, but the device I built, you have to have it Bluetooth to your phone, so it has to be 25 feet from that. In other words.
Okay.
So it would help if they had the phone on their body at all times.
Right. Which most people do. It's absurd to think of. It's almost sad that you can't walk out of the room without having your phone on your person. And I'd say 99% of people now are within 25 feet of their phone at any given time. So
I'll be honest with you, I'm actually going to go into research and development with one that you don't have to have a phone. It'll actually
like its own cellular system where it acts as a phone.
I can do that too, but actually it'll be like for gas plants and wind energy. Every gas plant or even the guys in wind, they have what they call a SCADA system.
Okay.
Pipelines use them all the time. And so what the device will do, it will hang out there on an anchorage point. They hook into it. If they fall and hang off of it, it actually goes into what they call a PLC, and the computer plugged into that PLC will tell you exactly which one went off.
Oh, wow.
And
okay.
It'll show up on somebody's desktop on their computer.
So they can alert and send somebody out there.
Yep. Yep.
Wow.
And pipelines will probably use it. There's drilling rigs who sure enough use it because it'll be a system. There's actually, I know a lot about a drilling rig. There's actually 20 tie-offs on a drilling rig, 20 different places that you tie off. They're actually known. So you can hang something there and then you'll know.
Huh.
You'll know just
Okay.
exactly which one went out. And people, you're talking about too, about how it helps the industries and how it helps insurances. And it helps companies tremendously because it helps three ways.
What's that?
It helps the safety guy really good because he'll know whenever somebody falls and he'll get somebody start his deal, and then he'll know to take that fall protection out of service because you can't use it again.
Okay.
Okay. It helps operations because it'll make it go smoother, and then it'll help HR a whole bunch.
Right.
HR, if somebody falls, that's the first thing they do is they'll say, I fell out. Okay. Then show me where you were. Because you'll know exactly where he was and how long he hung there. It'll help the operations too, because they'll know exactly how long that guy hung there. And it'll help first responders because it timestamps the event. And it helps a lot. And I'm not saying that it's a good deal for everybody, but it really is because it reduces risk. You talk about risk, and you talk to risk management people all the time, and they say, well, does it reduce risk? Yeah, it does. It really does, because that's what it's supposed to do.
Do you have any statistics on this or whatsoever on how often this happens? Because I feel really naive in the sense that I didn't even know that people hang for an extended period of time.
Yeah,
because no one's around. But
a lot of times people hang at belts, and it's not really reported, to be honest with you.
It wouldn't be, would it?
No, that'd be a near miss.
Okay.
So you see what I'm getting at? Because you put them in belts, and then the belt catches them, and then all of a sudden you go rescue them, and they may have suspension trauma.
Help me out. What is suspension trauma?
Huh?
Is it just like PTSD or something like that?
It could be, and it could be not really PS like that, but it could be like a suspension trauma. It can be other things. It can turn into a lot of other things. What I'm saying, you can damage your liver because you don't have enough blood flow to go into it.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. You could go out there and get somebody off, and let's say he hung there for 20 minutes. Okay. Down the road, he could have trouble. He could actually have liver failure or circulation problems down the road.
Wow.
And it does cause problems. I've read statistics, and if you'll read that OSHA guidance, it'll tell you right in there that they could get liver problems. They could have pass out from not enough oxygen to the brain. There's a lot of things. But yeah, there is guidance. OSHA put a guidance out on it. I don't know. I'll share that document with you.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So your product actually will, another thing is thinking about is that somebody may be nearby or relatively nearby, but have no idea that this person fell.
Yep.
Even if they're screaming, because you don't know what type of environment you're working in. I've worked in the past in aviation, and that's a very loud environment. There's noise constantly. So even if a person is screaming at the top of their lungs, you may not hear them, and you may only be a few hundred yards away, and you may not hear them at all because of several generators or aircraft that are running. And so in this type of situation, this will send out a text message alert, alerting several people in the area that, hey, we've got a person that fell.
Yep.
Hopefully you got a safety guy that's nearby, and he can really take action and go and start the procedures to rescue them. Because even after what you're talking about as well, like in wind energy, it can take, even after they know that they've got to get this person down, you can be looking at an hour before you can ever get them off there.
So the quicker you're gonna, the better off you're gonna be.
I was thinking that as well. Yeah, that would be really imperative.
Yeah, and that's one reason I did this. And it actually and I'll show you how it works here in a minute when we get through, because what happens, it takes about 3 seconds to actually tell. That's about how much time it takes from the time it deploys and it actually alerts somebody.
Okay, wow. So that's pretty instantaneous. You compare that to anything else, that's going to be instantaneous. And then
It is. And so you'll know, and before we ever do it, I did want to tell you too that it is built to ANSI and OSHA specification. In fact, it exceeds it.
Wow.
It
I'm
has
sure
a,
that's really important.
yeah, and it actually has a 3,000 pound working load limit.
Okay. So most people are going to fit within that. I said most people are going to fit within that 3,000
Well,
pounds.
her person is not going to hurt it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And as far as the 3,000 pound working load limit, and I did speak to several OSHA guys too before I put that out there. But the working load limit, that means that you can actually plug it back in.
Okay. So it's reusable in that sense.
Excuse me. Excuse me. You may have to cut that out, dude.
Yeah. That's fine.
But it is completely reusable.
Wow. That's great. That's great.
All you got to do is inspect the belt. Have you ever used slings?
No.
You know what I'm talking about? To lift stuff up?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. I know what a sling. Yeah. Okay.
So you don't take a sling out of service every time you use it.
That's right. Yeah.
Same thing.
Huh. Do you just inspect it? See that everything's serviceable? Right.
Excuse me. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Happens. Happens. That's why you got water there. That's good. Okay. So it's reusable in that sense. So you don't have to go out and buy a new product every time somebody falls. But what you told me before is that these falls happen on a daily basis. It happens all the time. People are falling all over the country from a variety of different industries. You probably have millions of people at any given time that are working, that are in these slings or in these safety harnesses. And then you're talking about a potential fall, and these people can sit there, and you're talking about potentially lifelong damages from just sitting in there and swinging or hanging, waiting to be rescued down. And the minutes matter. Like you're saying, even a matter of like 20 minutes, you might seem like you're fine after you get out of there. 5 years down the road, you could have liver damage. You could have other problems. The safety harness is great in the sense that it is saving lives. There's evidence that this thing is without a doubt saving lives, because some of these falls, depending on how far these people fall, that would be absolutely fatal. There's no way they would have lived without the safety harness. So it's clearly saving lives.
Yeah, it is. It is. And people need to understand too that you say that you have to, this is built to 5,000 pound specs. Okay.
Wow.
It is an anchorage point. And people say you got to have a 5,000 pound anchorage point. Do you know how much really, and I've asked this to OSHA guys, and I'll ask you the question. And OSHA people can't answer me the question. It's interesting. It really is. So if you have taken an anchorage point, and let's say you fall and you have a lanyard, right? A suppression lanyard, right? So it reduces the amount of the fall that your body feels to 900 pounds. So you'll know.
Okay.
It's
like a shock absorber. Is that correct?
Yeah.
It's kind of like it just, wow. It's still
so
900 pounds.
It starts at 1,800 if you didn't have one on.
Wow.
And your body can't stand that, to be honest with you. So that's what a shock absorber does. It reduces the amount of shock on your body. So if your body feels 900 pounds, how much does the anchorage point feel?
It'd probably be multiples of that, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, doesn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
So if your body feels 900, the anchorage point feels 900. Then why are we requiring 5,000 pounds?
Just overkill.
I've actually asked OSHA, and they look at me like I'm weird, but
it's just a math. They don't seem to understand it.
I mean, it is. It's kind of weird, but that's, yeah. I actually asked an OSHA guy that, and he looked at me and said, that's just what we require.
Okay.
It's okay.
They're told to do that, and they do it. That's all it is.
That's all it is, and that's fine. But I digress. I'm sorry, but I wanted to tell you that anyway, because it's kind of a fun fact, really. But
it's not fun to think about how much weight is like that. That's crazy to me. Like you're thinking about falling, How far do people normally fall? Is it just a
You
matter
can't,
of a few?
OSHA dictates that you can't fall over 6 feet free fall. That's why
Wow.
they have 6 foot lanyards.
Okay, so nonetheless, 6 foot, and then that thing yanks you back.
That's right.
And that's what you're talking about. That's 900 pounds of force. So
Yeah.
you fall off some ledge or something, you're working up, sometimes maybe only 10 feet up or maybe 1,000 feet up, depending on what you're working on. You fall off this thing, you fall 6 feet or less, like you're saying, but nonetheless, that will be a violent jerk. Even if you have that shock absorber and it absorbs some of that shock, you're still going to feel that's going to be, yeah, wow.
Yeah.
I'm glad I never fell in one of those things.
Yeah, you'll feel it, and your back will take most of it because of the way belts are built. So you'll know. I've actually had people a long time ago. I worked on drilling rigs where we didn't really wear fall protection. We wore a belly belt. And it was just a strap that went around the belly. And I've seen guys fall out and they fall upside down and stretches right here. And then they take the rope and climb back up. But that was back before they had full body harnesses too.
Wow. So those were not as fatal, or there's people that would live even after they fell.
Yeah, they'd live. Yeah.
Wow.
It was 3,600 pounds, 1,800 pounds of resting force on the human body. It can cause problems, and it can kill you. But that was back then when you just didn't know. I mean, we didn't have anything better.
So the safety harness is a much better adaptation because
the
way it grabs your body from all the way around. You get from the shoulders, correct?
Yeah, and it lifts more on your feet, but that's where they got in trouble was around their legs because your femoral arteries are inside your legs, and you cut circulation off if you hang there too long and you're immobile.
Wow, this is a design flaw, but it seems like it's better.
I don't think it's a design flaw. I just think that there's nothing else better, and somebody needs to design one. Maybe I'll think about that. No,
yeah. So that the people will fall. You get this huge shock, I imagine, from falling. Even if you're just a matter of 15 feet off the ground, you fall. You're falling so many feet, and then you just get yanked back up by this safety harness that's holding you. And then depending on their environment, where they're working at, they may sit there and hang for a matter of minutes to a matter of hours. And that's when you can have some serious health consequences from just sitting there hanging, waiting on somebody to come rescue you.
Yeah, you can have serious stuff. And it really helps whenever you get there faster. And speed is essential. In fact, the OSHA guidance that they put out is exactly their verbiage. They said speed is essential. It's one reason I got to thinking about it. So anyway.
So this could potentially save lives in a sense of you could actually save people's life potentially in some situations, but also a lot of times you could also save health consequences down the road from the point of legs and everything else.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, you know as well as I do, I'm going to put it out there, deer hunters, which I've already talked to you about that, but it is sadly needed in that. It's not an industry. OSHA doesn't dictate that because it's a recreational thing.
So do a lot of deer hunters wear safety harnesses?
Yeah, bow hunters do all the time. Because it depends what kind of ladder stands are not very big. It's just a ladder with a seat up there.
Okay.
And so they have to wear fall protection because when they shoot a bow and arrow, they have to use both hands. You don't have any.
There's a good chance that they're going to fall.
Very much.
And nobody's around at all. So they're just sitting out there in the middle of a forest all alone. You could have some serious injuries from that. I imagine you do, where people.
I've actually heard tales of people hanging in belts quite a bit. And especially in that, because like I said, nobody knows where they're at. They don't want to tell everybody where their deer stands at. A lot of them won't wear fall protection because of it.
So then they would just fall and die, or fall and have some serious injuries, because you may be falling.
They would rather get hurt falling 16 foot out of a tree than they would fall protection, because they don't want to hang there. And you will hang there until somebody finds you. That's what I've heard. I don't know how many times.
Wow.
Yep.
That seems absurd. That's what you get. Just trying to protect your little tree and everything
Well,
like that.
a lot of men and women will tell you this all the time, but a lot of men think they're bulletproof anyway.
Sure.
They don't need that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you may one of these days, and you'll find out you will.
I definitely understand that.
Yep.
So this could really be a big, I'm thinking workman's comp or something like that, because they insure, workman's comp is going to insure every industry out there, from oil and gas to people working in real estate to construction of all types. They're insuring everyone. And so from their standpoint, if you were having a device that can reduce the amount of injuries and also save lives,
Yep.
I would think that'd be a big benefit to them. Even if you could only do it percentage of the time, that would be enormous.
To be honest with you, I'll tell you, like I tell everybody else, if I save one person's life, I'm good.
I think you could do a lot more than that. You could save a lot of people's lives.
Oh, yeah.
Just the nature of it. I feel really naive in the sense of I did not know about people hanging in that device. I hated wearing it. Absolutely hated wearing a harness. It was just, and maybe if you had to do it every day, it might not be a big deal, but it is not the most comfortable thing in the world to wear. Is this thing that goes around you? It's just not really comfortable. I guess it's not designed for comfort. It's designed to save your life.
I've seen people in fall protection whenever I was on rigs and stuff, and you go up to them and they've got a belt on, right? And then you look over there and they're up on a beam or something. And so how come you're not tying off? There's no place to tie off. So that's what people need to understand. A lot of times there's really no place that they have the belt on, and we require them to wear it. But you can't tie off to anything because there's nothing above your head.
So what do you do then? You don't tie off. You don't have any.
To be honest with you, you tie off on the beam, whatever you can that's going to hold you. But
okay,
a lot of times it's below your feet, so it's going to increase the fall distance.
Yeah.
But there needs to be something. I even thought about inventing a drone
that could catch people.
That you could hook onto and that would hold you. But
because most of the time you have a beam that's going above your head, let's say, and from whatever that is, I'm thinking like in a factory, that makes a lot more sense because you're always going to have these beams overhead. You just hook onto that, and then whenever you fall, it's going to catch you from there. But if you're working outside in some kind of environment, like you're saying, I'm thinking about that makes more sense now. And you're the tallest thing up there because you're working on top. What do you hang on then?
What do you got to hang on to? Roofers, they actually use tie-off points. They use cable on top of the roof.
Oh,
and they tie into the cable.
Okay, that makes more sense.
That goes, it's called a lifeline cable, and it goes up on top of the roof, and you tack it in, and you set it down, and the cable goes, and everybody hooks into the cable.
Okay, so they've always got a tie-in point there. So there's probably a lot of industries that do
fix that, but sometimes there is just nothing you can do because I'll give you an example. Red iron industry. You know the guys that build barns?
Yeah. Okay.
They're required to wear fall protection. Okay, except during the start of their construction because there's nowhere to tie off.
They're building it. They're the ones building the safety harnesses.
Yeah. So it's good I seen a deal today on the internet and a picture of it, and a guy had his deal around the beam and he was crawling on top of the beam. That's good. But still, yes, not a perfect world. It's not.
No. So what you would have then is, like you said, 6 foot fall for protection. So you're falling 6 feet, it's going to catch you. But in that sense, you're acting in multiples because now if you're above that, And, it's going up 4 feet or 5 feet above that because you're standing on top of that beam.
So you'll know if you have a 6-foot lanyard on, you're not
Uh-huh.
going to fall 6 feet. That's a misnomer. You will
Okay.
fall 18 feet.
Okay. Explain that. Explain that to me.
Okay. So the blowout on your lanyard is 6 feet. That's why they call it a 6-foot lanyard. If it's in the middle of your back, then you're going to fall 6 foot before it ever starts. Okay. Then the blowout, because the 6-foot lanyard, and then the blowout is 3 feet. So you're at 12. Then it takes you 2 foot of slack to the time everything gets taut. You're at 14. And then it's actually going to be 4 foot is going to, unless you tie off your head, if you tie off at your feet, then it's going to be 4 foot more. So it's 18 feet in some cases.
That's
what
a
you
lot
need.
of falling.
But people need to understand some of it is you're not allowed to fall 6 foot until your lanyard actually explodes. Okay. So you're going to fall 9 feet, but your lanyard
I never would have thought of that.
Suppressing your fall. Yeah, people don't understand that. I've had people use 6-foot lanyards to get on a 4-foot bucket, which doesn't make any sense at all because you're going to hit the ground.
Yeah.
So people need to understand that, and they need to understand how to space their lanyards out to where to where it actually catches them. You're okay if you're going to use a 6-foot lanyard and you're 100 feet in the air.
Right.
That's great.
But if you're only 15 feet up,
then you need to use like a 3-foot lanyard. They make them.
Okay.
You just shorten your lanyard to
and then it would catch you earlier. Okay. Wow. Huh. There's a lot more to all that than I know, but this sounds really bad to me. Just thinking about somebody falling and then just hanging there. That seems like a nightmare. You didn't be one to fall. And like you're saying as well, there's probably a lot of other injuries involved as well, because people may just fall, but there usually may be another injury preceding that injury, be it like they got hit in the head or something happened to them, and they may have a concussion as well.
You got to understand what causes them to fall. They could actually get something hurt. Let's say they break their arm or whatever trying to do something, and then all of a sudden they're hanging in a belt with a broken arm. Or they fall, and let's say you're building a building and you hit your head on you hit your head on a lower beam or something, then you're knocked out and you're hanging there. You can't move, especially even tree stands. You're going to hit your head on a limb going down. It's not going to be good. You're going to hang there until somebody come get you. And that's another thing people need to understand. If you're going to fall out, then you need to be able to, if you're going to, let's say you're going to self-rescue, which they tell you to try to do, right? Then you have to hand over hand and climb up that rope.
Does this happen? Can some people actually do that? I've seen that in a movie. Is that?
I don't know, but I can't do that.
That seems like it would be that'd be a hell of a pull-up. Just sit there and pull yourself up all the way until you get up to the top.
I used to do first aid classes, and we used to take a 236-pound dummy and do a body drag with it. You know how heavy that is?
It's 236 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah, and you think you're going to pull that?
Another thing is it's not easily accessible. So if it was right here on your chest and you could just pull up right here, I might be able to do that, especially if I could wrap it.
Yep.
But it's not. It's on your back. So you would have to spin around to get to it in the first place, which would
you'd have to do this. You'd have to do it from your back. You can't.
That's hard.
The
muscles are not as developed.
How are you going to do that?
No, that would be really hard to do.
It'd be different if it was hooked here.
So I'm saying it's I've got muscles in this area. I could probably pull myself up, but going up like that seems incredibly difficult to.
It's incredibly difficult to self-rescue. Yeah, yes, it is.
That's crazy. But so this is things that happen all the time. You're talking a lot of people end up with this on a daily basis. We're talking a huge epidemic where people are hanging in these things, and this is preventable.
It is. It's very preventable. I did the research, and whenever I started this, and I don't know. I read it on the internet, and it may not be true. It may not be. You know how the internet is. But there are 12.5 million people in fall protection every day.
Wow.
Yeah, 24 hours a day in the United
That's
States.
12.5 million. That's insane. Okay. Wow.
12.5 million people. And so we put them in fall protection. That's a good deal.
These are people that are just in fall protection. They're
Yeah.
not actually in a situation where they're hanging.
No.
They're just wearing the fall protection. And that makes a lot of sense now. Yeah.
Yeah, and the risk is incredible if you think about that.
It
How many
really
of those
is.
people are going to fall out, and then how many people are going to hang there?
Yeah, especially whenever you have a lot of them being by themselves. There's a lot of these people that go out to all kinds of different job sites and they're wearing fall protection for obvious reasons because they're required to by OSHA.
Yep.
And they go out and they respond. They're all by themselves. There's no one else around. And they go out there, and on occasion, it's probably not every day, but on occasion, these people do fall. And in that situation, they have no backups. There's no way to find out who fell and when they fell.
That's one reason I got to thinking about this. You take somebody that works for a public service or
Okay.
electrical company. Those guys send out two people for that reason, because they got somebody in fall protection, so they send out two people, and one of them has to sit there and watch you. So how productive is that?
I see your point.
And yeah, it's a good idea. It really is to do.
Because that's going to be a lot better than even having another person that's able to
This would be a lot
respond.
better. Yep, better. And even if if they send out two people, if the person is doing something over here, he may not ever see him.
Or hear him as well,
hear him.
because
No.
different environments, you may not
Your
know about it.
environments that are very loud sometimes, and your environments that actually got bad weather and it's raining straight down, and those guys work in all kinds of weather.
Wow.
I just hope it helps. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it seems like it would, especially if you can alert multiple people that, hey, we've got a fall, and then they could all respond. If nothing else.
Yeah, I'll show it to you in a minute, but you can actually text up to 5 people out of your contacts. Other guys told me, says, you need to make it to where it's going to text 911. Number one, you can't text 911. And number two, I'd rather for somebody else in their contacts to take care of that. Because of insurance, that'd be horrible. I wouldn't want that liability of trying to call a 911. But besides that, the text messages is the way to go anyway, because it actually alerts them, and then they can call 911, and they can actually push. If they detect a fall, they can actually push it, copy and paste it, and send it via email or whatever to them, to the emergency responders.
Okay.
They
Wow.
know exactly where they're at, or they can give them coordinates and say, "Hey, put these coordinates in. This guy's right here."
Wow. So, your device gives coordinates as well as time, all the details.
Yep. I'll show it to you. I've got you in my emergency contacts here in a minute. I'll actually show it to you and show you and send you the text messages.
Okay. I want to see this.
Yeah. Let me do it right quick. I'll do
Okay.
it. So right here, there's an app. So there's an app on the phone. And let me go back. Right there, you download it from Apple or Google.
Okay.
And then your emergency contacts, you pick them directly out of your phone. Let me see. Yep, there you go.
Yeah.
And so we're going to pick you and me. And so you can search them, but I already know where you're at. You're in the O's, and I'm just Joey. And then you do it again, and then we're going to send this to get down here to the O's. Sometimes I don't, and we're going to pick you. And to say you want to make sure it works, and so you're going to send a text message to test it, and that's what that looks like. And then we're going to push send. You're fixing to get a text message, dude. Tell them what that text message says.
This message from Joseph Zach from Bay Block is armed at this location. And then it gives a Google location. So if everyone can see that.
Yep.
See that.
And so
that's really cool.
And then, so we're going to push cancel and then back on this thing.
Okay.
This is the device.
Wow.
So whenever they hook into this side right here.
Okay.
At where they tie off to the termination point. This side
Okay.
they hook into with their fall protection. It takes 17 pounds for it to deploy.
So it's not going to accidentally deploy just because
you got another text message.
Yeah.
I know you did. And it says,
alert, Zach has detected a fall from this location. So that's really cool. That's right there.
And what's really good about it, it says on the application that it's detected a fall. But what really is good about it, it's got a 3,000 pound working load limit, and you just plug it back in. It's completely.
And then it's ready to go. And that's in accordance with OSHA and everyone else that your device is resettable.
Yeah, it's resettable because there's no. All you have to do is inspect the belt to make sure it doesn't have torn stitching, and the inspection criteria is on the website.
Wow. Okay.
So, but anyway, that's how it worked anyway. But I wanted to show you that. And
it's really neat.
What a text message, isn't it?
Yeah, not only that, but it gives you the location, gives you time, gives you everything else. So you can just push that, and then you know the exact location. This makes a lot of sense. You got people remote.
Yeah, and what you need to understand too, if let's say a first responder, you'd say, hey, give me whoever the first responder is, give me your cell number, and then they can actually take a screenshot of it, and it'll timestamp when that event happened, and you'll know just exactly how long that guy's been hanging in that belt, and they'll know how to treat him better.
Oh, that's another thing. Wow. Okay. So then they'll know exactly what to do. It helps the first responders as well.
Sure it does. They'll know what kind of treatment to give the guy.
Okay.
Or actually have a better idea of it. That way they're not guessing, say, how long do you hang in a belt? Yeah, right there it is. So,
wow. So Joey, there's no one else that's developed a product that's even similar to yours?
No, I have a patent on it, and I don't know. Let me think if I can think of the number. It's 116,663,782 is my number. I think that's right. It's either 782 or 789. You'll learn that about me too. I have a photographic memory sometimes.
That's great. I had no idea.
But yeah, it's really a good thing to have. And I think Caleb, I think it really will help people.
And I think so too. And not only that, it'll reduce obviously injuries, and it'll be able to really save a lot of costs all the way around. I keep thinking about workman's comp because I've talked to a lot of those guys, and they're always thinking about safety and what can they do to prevent injuries and to prevent different things like that. And they're the ones that are requiring a lot of the safety programs. They go in and they say, okay, if you want to have our insurance, we're going to require that you have this safety program. And it's not just a matter of they want it to look good. They really want it to work because they've got an incentive. They don't want to see injuries. They don't want to see all these things come up. They actually have an incentive to do that, to keep injuries and deaths and everything else down. So a device like yours seems like a no-brainer that it would be mandated that you need to have a device like this on all your safety harnesses.
To be honest with you, I hope it does get mandated. I'll be a millionaire overnight, but
more. Yeah.
But I think that it really it's got a place. Let's put it that way. And I think people really need to think about what they're doing as far as reducing injuries. And I think it does have a big place in that.
Yeah. Wow.
And the type of injuries and I guess it would be the type of injuries, and it would be the amount of injury to a person. Yeah. And the long-term effects. They really need to think about that.
I can't believe that what you're telling me is accurate. And that's because it's just something I never thought of. But you do, whenever you're hanging there, you don't have that blood circulating around. And so just kind of like oil in a car, If you don't have oil in your engine, may be okay if you put in oil in it, but long term, you're going to have all kinds of damage. Same thing with your liver and your other organs.
Yeah, because your blood flow actually feeds everything.
Yeah. So if you starve your organs, even just to a minor degree of blood, you're going to have some lifelong repercussion effects, like you're talking about the liver and everything else.
Very much you could have injuries, and there's actually been studies on it. That's one reason that in the OSHA guidance, it's listed.
Wow.
I'll send you a copy of it, but yeah, it's listed the different types of stuff that it could happen to your body.
Wow.
So
that's really crazy. All right, Joey. I want to get your word out there as much as we can. Hopefully, we can do another episode here in the near future whenever you're sitting on a yacht in the Caribbean because you made all the money or something.
I don't know about that. I'm going
You
to
never
get
know.
off the ground. One of these days, I'll do one with you, and we'll talk about some other ideas I have.
You got more ideas.
I got one right now, has to do with a deer feeder.
Okay. I think, that may not save lives, but that might be a good idea. If this one turns out.
That's what people tell me. They're too lazy to go fill up their deer feeders, so they want something that tells them when it's empty.
That makes sense. It makes a lot of sense, actually. But yeah, we'll definitely recap on this in the future. I'm serious. I really want to do another one. I don't necessarily know if you'll be in the Caribbean. You might be somewhere else.
I don't know. I hope I am. My wife would like to be in the Caribbean. I've been to the Caribbean. It's not bad.
It's not bad.
I'll tell you the best place to go.
Okay.
And if you ever get a chance, take your wife over there. But go to the Caymans.
I've been to the Caymans. I haven't taken her there, but I've been to the Caymans.
So do you ever notice the sand in the Caymans?
It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
Did you ever walk across it?
I did. Yeah.
Didn't burn your feet, did it?
No, I didn't think about it at the time. I was drinking, but probably wouldn't have noticed.
Do you know why it didn't burn your feet? That's not sand.
Okay, it's coral or what?
It's coral.
Oh, okay. Wow.
That's all that is. It's coral.
It's a little bitty. The Grand Cayman is a little bitty island, tiny little. It's barely big enough for a runway on, but tiny little place.
I'll never forget. You don't have to put this in, but I'll never forget. We come in to land at the Grand Caymans, and we come in there and you land, and the plane actually backs up before you land.
Yeah, because they hit the end of the runway.
Yeah, you're there, right? So, yeah, I've been to the Caymans, Hawaii. I was in Hawaii for 3 weeks without my wife. They sent me over there to do the rig pass class to a drilling company. They drill for water wells over there.
Oh, wow.
So the school called me and they said, "You want to go to Hawaii?" I said, "Can I take my wife?" They said, "Sure." So what I do, I'll go over and say, "Honey, we're going to Hawaii." And she said, "We can't." I said, "What do you mean we can't?" She said, "We just bought a cafe. I can't leave," which we used to own the cafe under. And what I do, like most husbands, I said, "Yes, honey, I'm not going to go either." And she looked at me, she said, "No, you need to go. You enjoy what you do." So I spent 3 weeks in Hawaii.
That sounds great. I've never actually been to Hawaii, but sounds great.
I've been to, I was a bad deal of Maui, but I've been there.
Yeah, it was.
Island. And I even got to go to Molokai. I'll teach you something about Hawaii, and then I'll let you go. But Hawaii, they call, whenever you go over there, they call you a haole. The locals, that's what they say. We eat nothing but a haole. And what that means is, how that come about is the missionaries used to go to Hawaii and they would teach people about the Lord over there, and the Hawaiians couldn't understand them. So haole in Hawaiian language means without breath. And so that's why they call everybody Hawaii, because they don't understand this. But until you're Hawaiian, you'll actually know that. But I'm a certified Hawaiian now. They made me a Hawaiian while I was over there. So I got to go to Molokai, which is an experience. Molokai is a beautiful island, but it's not a tourist trap.
Yeah.
They live there. You know what I'm saying? And it's different. It really is. I appreciate it, Caleb. I really do.
Joey, I really enjoyed the talk, and I'm serious about having you on again. I really do think that you need to get this out there. I think it's a great product, and I think it can save lives and save limbs as well.
Yeah, it will. Like I said, I appreciate it, Caleb. And anytime you want to have one, just my number, dude.
Yeah,
You just got a text from me, man. So
I did. You're right. All right, Joey. You have a good day. Okay.
okay, you too. Talk to you later.
Hi, this is Caleb Owens with Premier Insurance Housing. Do you need help with ALE or temporary housing for your policyholders or clients? If so, we would love to help out. We offer a wide range of services, and we offer our services nationwide. We offer mobile homes and fifth wheels to single-family homes and apartments. To request our services, just click the link in the description or give us a call, 405-604-0786.